All right, I'm going to do complete solutions to review problems to get ready for tests from the Martin Gay Algebra textbook. All right, so we start with section 1.3, and the directions were simplify each expression and write answers as integers or reduced fractions. So basically that's saying don't write it as a decimal. All right, so when you have a fraction, you have to simplify the numerator using the order of operations and simplify the denominator using the order of operations before canceling or reducing. All right, if you want, you can even think of the whole numerator as something in parentheses or brackets, and you could write it like that. That's up to you. All right, so let's look at the numerator. We've got some addition, the 2 plus 4, but that's not the first thing you do in order of operations. We have a multiplication. When you have 4 next to a parentheses, that means 4 times whatever's in there. And we have a subtraction inside parentheses. The first thing you do in order of operation is simplify inside parentheses or any kind of grouping symbols, starting from the innermost ones. So 5 minus 3 is the first thing we do. So we copy everything up to that point and simplify inside. 5 minus 3 is 2. Let's do the bottom. We have an exponent, we have a subtraction, we have a multiplication, but in the order of operations we do exponents first. 7 squared is 49 minus, and we could also do 3 times 5 at the same time because it is separate from the 7 squared. So we have 49 minus 15. Now neither of those is simplified, so if you want, again, it's up to you. This is optional. You could put a bracket around to remind yourself you're not done simplifying the numerator or denominator in this case. All right, so in the numerator, and here's where a lot of people make their mistake, they add 2 plus 4. No, 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 no. The next thing in the order of operations, after parentheses, after exponents, is multiplication. And 4 times 2 must be done first before the adding 2 to anything. So I have to copy the 2 plus, and then I have to do this multiplication. 4 times 2 is 8. And in the bottom, there's only one thing left to do, subtract. 49 minus 15 is 34. Now in the numerator, almost done. We can now just do 2 plus 8, which is 10 34ths. Now the last thing to do would be to reduce that fraction. So you see if there's a common factor of 2. So let's see, 10 divided by 2 and 34 divided by 2. You don't have to show that, but this is going to be reduced to 5/17. So that's the answer. Another way to show how to reduce fractions, just as a little reminder, is to prime factor the numerator and denominator. So if you wrote 5 times 2 and 2 times 17, then you could cancel out the common factors, and what will be left is 5/17. You would still get 5/17 for your answer. So people do reduce fractions in more than one way, but there's only one correct reduced form, and that would be 5/17. So that's number 1. Let's go on to number 2. Again, we have a fraction, so we have to simplify the numerator and denominator first. And if you want, you could think of this as one grouping, the numerator and the denominator as a separate grouping. So in the numerator, what would we do first, the multiplication or the exponents? The exponents comes first. Remember, it goes parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division as it goes from left to right, and then any addition and subtraction as it goes from left to right. So we have to do the 2 cubed first. So we've got 3 times. Now what's 2 cubed mean? It means 2 times 2 times 2. Now, some of you are just going to write 8, and that's okay. I'm going to actually write down what it means. It's 2 times 2 times 2. So you could write 3 times 8 or 3 times 2 times 2 times 2. And in the denominator, Simplifying this, I need to do my exponents before the subtraction. So 5 squared is 5 times 5. I'm going to do that in my head. That's easier. 525 minus 4. Now, in the numerator, again, if you'd like, you could think of it as kind of have to do that, simplify, and also do this before you can go on. If you had written 3 times 8, you get 24. Or if you did it 3 times 2 times 2 times 2, you get 24. No matter how you look at it, you get 24. And 25 minus 4 is 21. And now we need to reduce. So what's the biggest number that goes into both of these? That's one way of reducing. You could divide top and bottom by 3. Again, this is not something you need to show, but if you do reduce it, you should get 8/7. Now, that is the correct answer because it's reduced. There's no other number besides 1 that is a factor of 7 and 8. But if you'd like to write it as a mixed number, that's perfectly okay as well. Both of these are correct. One's written as an improper fraction. One's written as a mixed number. But both of the fractions are reduced. So that's number 2. Let's go on to number 3. All right, we always do parentheses first, so we need to do this 2 times 10 first. So we have 4/5 divided by 20. All right, now, what do we do when we divide? Well, remember, you could multiply by the reciprocal, and 20 is the same thing as 20 over 1. If you'd like to see it as a fraction, so it's easier to tell what the reciprocal is, you could write 20 over 1. So the first number stays the same, and dividing by 20 over 1 is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal, 1 over 20. All right, and then we can reduce this before multiplying. That's usually easier. So if any factors in the numerator and denominator are the same, you could divide the top here by 4, which is 1, and 20 by 4 is 5. So there are different ways to cancel, but in the end, everybody should get 1 times 1 in the numerator and 5 times 5 in the denominator. So the answer is 1/25. Now, if you did not reduce it first, cancel it, if you wrote 4 times 1 and then 5 times 20 is 4 over 100, you would have to reduce that, and you should still get 1/25. So that's number 3. Let's go on to number 4. All right, number 4, we have parentheses, we have an exponent, we've got subtraction, we have addition, and we have multiplication, because when you have a 2 next to something in parentheses, that means 2 times something. So we need to use the order of operations, which means you simplify within parentheses first. Now make sure you copy everything else down and then just simplify within the parentheses using the order of operations. So we're going to write the 2 in the parentheses, and now within the order of within the parentheses, we have 5 squared minus 3, exponents first. 5 squared means 5 times 5. So that gives us 25 minus 3, and close the parentheses, copy the rest of the problem. All right, we still need to simplify within the parentheses. 25 minus 3, which gives us 22. And keep copying the rest of the problem. All right, so we've simplified within parentheses. Next, you see if there are any more exponents, and there are none. Next, you look for any multiplication and division, and there is one multiplication, 2 times 22. So we do that next. 2 times 22 is 44, minus 8 plus 3. And now we have some subtraction and addition. And here's where people make a common mistake of adding 8 plus 3. But in this case, as you look from left to right, there's a subtraction before there's an addition. So you need to do your subtraction first. In the order of operations, you do all addition and subtraction as it occurs from left to right. So we have to do 44 minus 8, which is 36, and then add 3. So notice you must do that subtraction first. So we get 36 plus 3 is 39. And that's the correct answer to this problem. Little side note, 44 minus 8. If you can't do that in your head, what you could do is first subtract 4, which is 40, and then subtract 4 more, which is 36. It's just a little arithmetic trick. If you don't want to have to get out a calculator or do it on the side or some other way to get 44 minus 8. So that's number 4.